morning. Welcome to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning on a Thursday edition, coming to you from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. John Cornell, Shane Matthews. JC, you're back from assignment.
Love it.
My guest yesterday had a little bit better resume than you.
Oh, well, in football, for sure. And I certainly think I certainly did enjoy watching, and I liked some of the questions that were asked of him. I think that one of the things that he really loves doing is staying involved, and certainly being an ambassador at the University of Florida allows him to do that and become, a guy that people will turn to when they need to talk football, and that's his life, right? And he's done so much, and he has meant so much to so many people, including yourself, of course, in terms of their careers, and of course that leads into their lives. And so he has been a real Florida Gator legend for sure, and it was fun to watch you guys hobnob a little bit yesterday here in the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, and it really adds a lot to our show when we can bring on such important people in the sports world.
No doubt about it. Today we're going to have at 8:15 former Gator, now head football and basketball coach at Hawthorne High School, Cornelius Ingram, better known as CI. Had a great career here, short-lived career in the NFL. Had a devastating knee injury here at University of Florida. Also at 8:30 we'll have Brent Beaird talking college football. Yeah, and JC, it looks like we have the third member of the Pony Express here today. We got Eric Dickerson, Craig James, and John Cornell.
Oh, well, let me tell you, this matches this. See, so I was going more with the color scheme this morning in the dark bathroom as I was getting dressed because it was so
Coach
early.
Spurrier pulled one of you yesterday.
Yeah, I heard
he rolled in with a green shirt on.
Yeah, Coach. Yeah,
and he was invisible looking at the screen.
I've had the invisible hat. He had the invisible shirt. But you guys managed to.
I made him put his jacket on.
Yeah, and I'll bet you it got a little steamy in here. I think the amazing thing about when we come in here and we decide what to wear is that we really don't think much about it until we show up.
Well, you obviously do. You want to match your hat and your shirt.
Well, I did when I saw last night the colors. I didn't think much about it this morning. I just threw it on, but I did think about it last night, so I guess you're right about that.
So you put your wardrobe together last night?
Well, I lay it out on the bathtub.
Oh, interesting.
I lay it out on the bathtub because I don't want to wake up the wife. I don't want to wake up the dog. I don't want to put on the lights on and just, get the thing. I want to try to be quiet for people. So certainly a lot going on there, QB. We've got a huge night of basketball last night, and it was a big night in the SEC. A disappointing loss for one team, a huge win for another who were trying to get in or on the bubble or into the tournament field. I'm referring to Alabama and Mississippi State. A big win last night for Georgia as their season has kind of come undone, but they had a big win against Auburn. And I'm sure there were some other games in the college basketball world that caught your eye, specifically the one in the ACC last night too.
Yeah, Duke got hammered last night.
They got blown out.
Lost by 22 to NC State. As you mentioned, Auburn loses at Georgia. A&M goes on the road.
Wins.
People, in my opinion, right now, and I think the coach of the year in the Southeastern Conference in basketball should be Buzz Williams. He has an awful basketball team, and they're sitting at 7-6 right now in league play.
No,
Mississippi State gets a big win. I think Mississippi State is an NCAA tournament team. It's a shame they don't have a true point guard. That is the biggest issue on their roster right now. On campus last night, though, Florida baseball stays undefeated. I think they're ranked number 2 in many polls with a walk-off.
That was great, but the weekend is coming.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. They go to Miami tomorrow, which Miami in some polls are ranked number 1 in the country.
Yeah.
So on Monday's show, we're going to have Steve Russell join us because Steve does play-by-play with Cardozo. So he'll give us a recap of what happens over the weekend down in Miami. Softball, Natalie Lugo throws her first career complete game no-hitter. They no-hit the JU Dolphins.
Yeah, awesome.
Now they head to their tournament out in Palm Springs, California.
Yep, do that yearly.
Guess who they get to play, JC?
How about, go ahead.
Number 1, UCLA.
Yeah, I was just going to say the Bruins got to be
Number
first.
5, Arizona.
Sure.
Number 16, Arizona State.
Good.
Number 25, Northwestern. And unranked Nebraska.
Well, this is where you're going to find out what you got early, although that's the point, isn't it, is that it's very early. But I certainly think if they can come out of there with a 3-win, if they can get 3 wins, that's what I would shoot for and hope for more.
Yeah, I mean, they've been doing this ever since Tim's been the coach here pretty much. And
they love to
it's for
recruit
2
over
reasons.
there. Yeah.
One, play quality competition to prepare you for later on when you get to the playoffs and to OKC. Number 2, he recruits girls from California.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And this is a way that they can go recruit, but he also, if girls from California are on the roster, this is a way their family members can see them play.
No, it's a big deal for them, and going out west is certainly good for the players, I think, and good for that team as they go forward, because the SEC is going to be really tough to win, and it's a tough conference year in and year out. So Florida's consistently up there, and hopefully that'll be the case again this year. I think it will. They've got some players that can make differences in games. But baseball, I got to say, I'm really kind of interested in how that's going to go at Mark Light Stadium down there in Miami, because the Canes have been kind of under the radar. Well, let's just say they haven't been living up to their standards or playing up to their standards here in recent years. And certainly this is a team with multiple College World Series championships. So baseball is a tradition at Miami, and Florida has had their number. But overall, Miami has an overwhelming lead over Florida in the series. But lately meaning the last 5 years, Florida has just cleaned their clocks, right? So Miami is looking forward to having Florida come into town. I know the Gators are excited about the challenge.
Yeah, no question. And, it's interesting because, Steve does the broadcast with Cardozo.
Yeah.
And just the stories they talk about how they hate going to Miami because of their fan base.
It's a rough place.
It's going to be interesting to see what goes on this weekend.
It's a rough crowd down there.
Yeah. Also,
really they hate Florida.
In SEC sports, Gator sports, SEC swim meet's going on right now in Auburn, Alabama, and we're going to have James Bates, who has a daughter on the swim team, join us live from the swim meet tomorrow.
It's a swimming family. It's a swim family.
Yes.
I mean, Mama.
And the girls. And something happened to Bates.
And then he ended up playing football. But very athletic family. Fun to talk to James. Love that guy. He's a lot of fun, and you guys will enjoy this. You will enjoy this conversation we have with him. He's kind of a amped up version, I think, of Kirkpatrick that we had on the show here, but in many different ways. Kirkpatrick, he was very fun to talk to and had a lot of cool stories. But James
is out there.
He's in his own right, and he's done some neat things. He's a great artist, apparently. So a lot of cool things to talk about with James Bates, and of course his playing days in the '90s with Spurrier and you guys. When the Gators, he's a linebacker, I guess. So it was a good career here at Florida. Huge fight this weekend, QB. I know we don't talk about boxing much, but the fight game has gone down.
I didn't know you were a boxing fan.
I'm not really, but I do like this guy Deontay Wilder. He's from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. But he's also got he's a single parent, single father raising a daughter. And, this was before he started making the money. There were stories about him and all the things he did for his daughter as she was growing up as a little girl, and certainly she's growing up now. But this guy has come from the bottom to end up where he is now, and he's fighting a fella he did not beat the last time, but he did not lose to either. They had a draw. So the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight, and I know this is a big deal, and you know how I know it is? Because it's a joint pay-per-view between Fox and ESPN. So a joint pay-per-view between Fox and ESPN means that they're looking for a mainstream audience that's just not all about boxing. The last big boxing match that I can even think of that I actually looked forward to, because I don't watch it, was really, I don't even know if you could call it much of a boxing match, because it had an MMA guy, Conor McGregor, against Floyd Mayweather, but the numbers were massive. The numbers that they pulled for the attraction of that match were massive. And, McGregor had a good showing for himself, and the lead up to it was great. But the thing about that fight, and the thing about watching Floyd Mayweather, is that he's a defensive fighter, right? It's like you can't hit him. You just can't get him. He's like trying to swat that fly out there, and you can't get him. These two guys are going to be throwing haymakers. These are big people, and they don't like each other necessarily. And even though the weigh-in was kind of goofy with the shoving and all that, it did get a little personal. So I could give you the example of how or why. I don't know if you care. But let's just say that I think the fight will be real, and it will be pretty interesting to watch.
Saturday night?
Saturday night on pay-per-view, joint pay-per-view.
But they probably don't start. Are they boxing? Where are they boxing at?
So it's in Vegas, so it'll be late.
It'll start at 1 a.m. our time.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the prelims will be the prelims, but they will have it on out there. And a lot of times these fights start actually sooner than you think, because they do know that there's an East Coast audience that's paying for it. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't talk much about fighting, but again, this Wilder guy, he's going to be throwing hammers from Alabama. And I do think this Fury fella is definitely not afraid of him. And I think Wilder's knocked out just about everybody's fought. So, and he did knock this guy down, but this guy must have landed more punches to earn that draw. So that's coming up on Saturday night. I'm excited about that. Also, the new CBA agreement, the collective bargaining agreement with the National Football League, is currently being negotiated with the owners, who have 3/4 of the vote, and the Players Union has the other. And I think that with the owners meeting now in the next 48 hours, we're going to get some sort of template that would hopefully be ratified next week in terms of the collective bargaining agreement in the National Football League. And there's some new changes coming.
I do like what they're talking about with the playoff situation.
You do like that?
I do think the team with the best record should get a bye.
That's right.
Now it's both the top two teams, and they're going to add, what are there, seven teams from each conference?
So they're now going to have hopefully 14. In this format, they would have 7 teams in each conference, with one team getting the bye. That would leave 14 teams in the NFL. And I think this is important because some folks say, well, that might dilute the playoffs by allowing a team that's next in line to get in there instead of giving a team that deserves it with maybe a 13-3 record like the Saints not have an open date, which they certainly could have used last year. Of course, the Saints losing in that first game they played. So I don't think it will, though, because here's the reason. This playoff format, QB, has been in place since 1990. Okay? The reason why that's important is because back in 1990, we only had 28 teams.
Right.
So now we have 32 teams, and certainly 32 teams getting 14 in there creates maybe some more interest. It will create a little bit more interest in terms of some fan bases staying in the hunt for longer, with teams that may have a chance to get in as that 6th or 7th team. And certainly I think with more playoff games, you have more excitement.
Yeah, that's the difference between the National Football League and the other major sports. It seems like, every game in the NFL means so much, playing 16 regular season games.
Well,
where when you play, in baseball, you're playing 162 games. In hockey, how many do they play? 80-something?
Yeah.
Basketball, I think it's 82 or 84.
Yeah.
So, you can lose several games, and half the league makes the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, that's true, but, I think what they're looking to do here is, in addition to the 7-game playoff proposal, there's going to be a 17-game schedule, and they'll cut down the preseason. I don't think anybody would be in disagreement over that. Instead of having 4 preseason games, maybe you have 2 or 3, but you would have 17 regular season games in the regular season. That will allow, hopefully, a rosters to become expanded. That would create more players to be able to play on the rosters, make the team, and so forth. Or it could create more liberal rules with injured reserve, so that more guys could come back to, because of the 17th game, the 17 games, it's an extra game, and it brings on more risk, as does an extra team coming into the playoffs. That, listen, the bottom line is I want to see the best teams playing. That's what the regular season's about in the NFL. I think, we've had since 2013 mostly 1 and 2 seeds get to the Super Bowl. The last team I think that was a lower than 2 or 3 seed was Baltimore in 2012. And that doesn't sound like a long time ago, QB. That's 8 years ago. So most teams that have made the playoffs and become influences in the Super Bowl are 1 and 2 seeds since 2013. And I think that's what we want to see. We want to see the best teams. We want to see Kansas City play. We don't want to see somebody like the Pittsburgh Steelers this year go in there and somehow beat Kansas City because maybe Patrick Mahomes gets hurt. That happened to Cincinnati with Carson Palmer when they played the Steelers on a year that they were supposed to go far. And that happened with some other teams that lost their best player to a team that was really not as good as they were during the regular season. So anything could happen in the playoffs, and I think that's the fear that they have. But I do believe that 7 teams is the way to go.
And if we got a text here, if you want to text us, we're going to be having Cornelius Ingram join us here shortly on the Titan MRI text line, 352-353-7465. Deputy Butterball says, with the new playoff format, do the Dolphins still suck? Probably so.
The Dolphins have made some bad decisions in the draft.
He also wanted to ask our boxing expert, I guess that's you.
Here I am.
Should Mayweather fight again?
No, because we know what we get with him, and it's not that exciting. He's a great fighter in that he is a defensive guy that you just can't hit. That's not what I want to watch. I want to see haymakers, and I want to see 2 guys who are 6'7" just wear each other out. That's what I would pay for to see if I was a boxing enthusiast. Now, granted, some people, they want to see the technical aspects of the game, of the match, and all this kind. I don't care. I just want to see 2 guys destroy each other and see who wins and who's left standing, because I'm not really much of a boxing fan to begin with.
Well, we're going to take our first time out of the program. We come back. We're going to have Cornelius Ingram join Pot Up with Matthews in the morning. We'll be right back. He's been coaching. He's kind of turned the Hawthorne.
There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gators Dockside, wings, ribs, seafood, and beer. The best restoration, masters of disaster.
Bob in trouble, gets rid of it. Oh, big hit.
Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okita America Martial Arts and After School, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, UF Mover Guys, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Wrap Spot, Cold Stone Creamery, Gator Dominoes.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning. John Cornell, Shane Matthews. Celebration Point is where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Nike, Palmetto Moon, Regal Cinemas, and coming soon, the head ball coach's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators come to celebrate. We're going to go right now to the Titan MRI phone line, and we are joined by former Gator and Mr. Hawthorne himself, Cornelius and Ingram. Cornelius, you got John Cornell, Shane Matthews. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Let's briefly talk about what you're doing now. You've obviously, ever since you've been done playing ball, you've been very, very involved with everything in Hawthorne where you grew up. You've taken that football program over as the head football coach. Y'all made deep runs in the playoffs. And now you got your girls basketball team going to the Final Four. Talk a little bit about what you enjoy about coaching high school ball.
Well, just being around the kids. And for me, like you said, being from here, it's one of those dream jobs that I cherish and I take advantage of every single day. I know all the kids. I know all of their parents. So it's one of those dream jobs where I get up and I love what I'm doing. And, just being able to give back to your own community, it's a blessing. And I'll be honest, it's some of the most fun I've had in a while, coaching these kids.
Cornelius, when you look at your girls going to the Final Four, do you know who your opponent is yet, and how do you stack up against these other three teams that are going to be there?
Yeah, we do. We're very familiar with our opponent. We actually we played them in the Final Four game last year, and I think we went there a little shell shocked, and definitely wasn't able to perform how we wanted to. And I said this the other night after our win against Wildwood during the interview. One of the hardest post-game messages I probably ever had to have was after that game. And, you're sitting in the locker room after, a tough loss with a lot of girls returning. And, it was hard. A lot of them were crying. They were emotional. But at the same time, I had to be honest with them. And I told them every girl in this locker room has to get better individually. And our girls, they took that approach. The entire off season, they did a lot of working out on their own. And I say this all the time as well. I think that's when kids get better. It's hard to get better when, your parents have to tell you to go work out or go do something extra, because most of the time when you are working out, you're kind of mad at your parents. You know, you're sucking your teeth and you're telling yourself in your head, all they want me to do is this. So you're really not getting better that way. A lot of our girls, they went and worked out on their own with a free mind, with a free conscience, and I think that allowed our team to grow. I knew the team chemistry would come, but we had to have a lot of girls get better and understand what we were trying to do as a team. But I think we match up well against Holmes County. Like I said, we played them last year. We're not as excited about going as we were last year. This is definitely a business trip, and for the most part, it's kind of hard to simulate playing in that arena, you know, because we're used to playing in a regular high school gym all year. But we'll try to get over to campus and maybe practice in the practice facility over there at UF, just to get our girls, you know, familiar with that arena. But I'm excited about how our team has grown, not only from last year, but even throughout this season. And we've had a lot of success. We'll remain humble at the same time, but we'll definitely be prepared to play on Wednesday.
Cornelius, JC here. Back in the 90s, we covered sports, and I always knew that Hawthorne had a something different about it in terms of the community and the size of the community and how competitive it always seemed to be. I remember, I think his name was Woods, Coach Woods, or
Bill Woods.
Bill Woods,
Yep,
right.
yep,
He and I were very,
yep.
he and I talked a lot, and I do remember him, you know, always calling in the score when we would report it at night. And what I could always count on was Hawthorne coming through with either a win or at least a reported score. So tell us, the question would be, tell us a little bit about what makes Hawthorne, that community, special in terms of competing in sports with such a small number of kids available, basically, from a pool of citizens, and why you've been able to be so successful in that community.
You know, number one, it's funny you brought up Bill Woods. I never had the opportunity to play for him, except my 7th grade year. I moved up on varsity, and he ended up leaving to go to Trenton. He's a lot older now.
Yeah.
We just went to see him, me and some former players. He lives in Ocala. We just went to see him. And one of the things he said to me that he always say to me whenever he would see me is he regret leaving Hawthorne because he wanted to coach me. And, you know, that kind of stuck with me because he's a Hall of Fame high school coach.
Yep.
He's had a lot of success throughout coaching. So that meant a lot for me. But just from a community standpoint, you know, we're probably the smallest school in the state of Florida. And, you know, me being the head football coach, you know, my first 2 years, you know, I would have to walk in the hallways and basically beg kids to come out, you know, compared to other schools where they have, you know, 50, 60 kids playing football every single year. So we take a lot of pride as coaches here because we know we're limited numbers. So the success we have with the amount of kids we have at the school, and then, of course, boys basketball, you know, we play everybody, any classification of school, and we normally beat them. So we play with a chip on our shoulders at all times. You know, we're coaching our kids extremely hard on and off the floor because we want them to have success because we know they're against the odds, and for us to do some of the things we're able to do with the amount of kids we have, you know, we think it's second to none, and we coach our kids hard. I will say that they take it, they understand that it's coming from a great place, but you know, just maybe 2 years ago, we were on the verge of being shut down, and I can remember, you know, our boys basketball program gave us hope. Our boys basketball program was, you know, at the top of 1A, at the top of any classification schools. So they gave us hope, and we wanted to make sure we were on campus as far as our coaching staff where, you know, we can motivate a lot of these kids. There's nothing that happens on our campus that the coaches don't know about. And we tell the teachers firsthand to call us, email us, send someone to find us, whatever the case may be. So we never have any problems at the school once we got our test score, we were able to lean on the football program 2 years ago. One of my, probably record-wise, one of the top football teams in the state of Florida. And, just losing 20 seniors the year after, which was this year, I had a lot of kids who could afford it. A lot of kids, they were hearing it. I would hear it in the community. They basically gave me an excuse for my this year football season. Hey man, you graduated 20 seniors. That's basically the whole school. So if you guys don't win a game this year, everybody will understand. And our kids, they didn't take that approach. They took it personal. So I played with a lot of young kids. I had an 8th grader at corner.
Wow.
9th graders that started all over the field, and we end up finishing the season 9-3 and losing to a great athletic Pahokee team. So we've had a lot of success, and the best part about coaching for me is being here and knowing the kids, because they can't give me any excuse, because I'll go directly to the parents.
Right, it's home.
Yeah, exactly.
It's home.
Whatever
so
the Lord did.
Everybody knows CI's around. You better behave.
Yep. so that helps out a lot. But for us to have success in a dark moment for our community and town, I wish a lot of people, could have felt and at least seen what state we were in, because, there was a lot of worried parents thinking about, if my kid has to, travel over to Gainesville every morning or whatever the case may be. So we pulled together as a coaching staff, as a community, as a student body, and we made sure we got our letter grade. And then, of course, our athletics basically has always thrived throughout the years, but it's been on another level for the last 2 or 3 years.
We're speaking with Cornelius Ingram, former Gator great, member of the 06 and 08 national championship team. We got a text here on the Titan MRI text line from Joe. He says, "Ask CI how it was, being recruited by Ron Zook."
You know what? It was probably, and I was recruited by every school, but it was something different about Ron Zook. I remember maybe my junior year of high school, I want to say he did something to his foot or his knee, and he was riding around Hawthorne campus on the golf cart. and he was following me around. I knew right then exactly where I wanted to go to school, but he recruited me hard. Yeah, I tell people all the time, he was definitely one of the best recruiters in the country. As you can see by the amount of talent we had on that 06 team, even some of the guys still on that 08 team like myself. But it was definitely fun. I think he showed up to maybe my basketball banquet. He kind of just popped up. So it was fun. We had an open line of communication throughout the entire process. And he made it clear he wanted me at the University of Florida. My parents felt that way. Whenever he would show up on campus, he would talk and interact with all of the teachers and students and administration. So he made it comfortable for me to make that decision where I was already leaning. But him, as a big time recruiter, he made it easy for me to make my decision.
Cornelius, when you you came to the University of Florida, or highly recruited as a quarterback, how hard was it for that transition when you moved to tight end? Was it pretty difficult at first?
Actually, not really. I'll be honest, Shane. Most of the time when you start out playing football, if your dad's the coach, normally you'll play quarterback. Right. So that's kind of how I got started at the age of 7. But I was a really good athlete who played basketball, so I had great hand-eye coordination, great feet. So it was all about maybe the contact for me, because Coach Mullen and them did a great job with easing me in. I wasn't the traditional tight end right away where I was an inline blocker. They had me split out wide where I can kind of create some mismatches outside. So that transition was pretty smooth for me because they knew I probably never blocked a day in my life, and I had nothing to that point. So he's a smart cat, man. I had a lot of success playing the position. But for me, that transition was pretty smooth because the type of coaches we had.
I think people forget too. You played a little bit for Billy Donovan over there in the O'Connell Center. So you played for Coach Mullen, who's the offense coordinator, but Urban Meyer, who's the head coach. You played for Billy Donovan. You're talking about guys that have won multiple national titles. Have you taken a little bit of what you learned playing under these guys and taken that to Hawthorne High School?
Shane, everything I've learned throughout the game, especially from a coach, and some of the offensive plays that we run, whether it's, football or girls basketball, I've gotten them from Coach Meyer, Coach Mullen, and Coach Donovan, of course. I told someone the other day, I'll be a fool to not use what they taught me for some of these high school kids that I coach. And I definitely want to clear this up because I remember when I took over as the girls basketball coach, this is my third year, my first year. Even now, I sit and watch our boys practice with my girls because, my older brother is the head boys basketball coach. So I felt like, I'll be a fool if I had the recipe to success right in front of me and not take advantage of it. So, and it's not necessarily running the same exact plays that my brother would run with his program, but how they start practice and the intensity, it's something special to watch. I'll be honest, and I'm not just saying that because he's my brother and I'm at Hawthorne, but the type of drills, the energy level, how they start practice is what I was more into. So we took that same formula. I used it with my girls, and our boys are one of the top boys program every year. So we wanted to get where they've been, and I think we're headed in that direction. But I've been able to play under some great coaches, Shane, and I try to use whatever they taught me, whether it's how to practice, play calling, understanding the game, whatever it might be. I've been able to use a lot of the stuff that I learned from those guys. Like you said, they're great coaches. So I wanted to make sure I can have my own lane or my own category as a high school coach. Absolutely.
Do you and your brother talk a lot of smack and you say, hey, my girls want to scrimmage your boys and we'll take y'all down?
I haven't got to that point yet because, our boys are very competitive.
Right.
All these guys play football for me, so I know them. But we respect one another's program. I'll tell you this. The other night we played Wildwood, who was the number 2 team in the state, and we were confident going into the game. But for a girls' crowd atmosphere, probably had to be one of the best in the state of Florida, any class. And I looked on the front row right across from our bench. There was a cheer section with our entire basketball team, all of our football boys. I'm talking shirts off, chest painted, and hopefully, our girls there have to keep their shirts on, but they're going to return the favor tonight because our boys have played for Hokie here at 7:00. So, that's the type of kids we're able to coach. They're rooting for each other on and off the floor. I tell people all the time, this is luxury for me. I really have a dream job here. I love the kids that I see every single day, and not only the athletes. I got relationships with the kids who hasn't thrown the ball for me, who hasn't dribbled the ball for me. So that's the type of community that we have. I have a lot of support from the outside as well, and still a lot of Gator support as if I'm still over there catching passes. So. That's the beauty about, being a local kid, going to the University of Florida. I have tremendous support on and off the field during my playing days and probably even more after. So I really appreciate it, man. This has been fun. I got to be honest. It's been fun.
Well, certainly the community benefits was one of their own comes home and comes back to provide so much, and the kids are the beneficiaries. And of course, Gator fans will always remember people they love. So, great job, Cornelius. We really enjoyed having you today.
Yes, indeed. CI, good luck in the Final Four, my man, and we'll talk to you on down the road. And We appreciate Mr. Hawthorne joining us on the program.
The guys.
All right, that's Cornelius Ingram.
Cornelius.
I mean, people don't understand what he's done with that community over there from an athletic standpoint.
It's amazing.
It is because the school's going to shut down.
small.
But I've always said high school coaches, regardless of whatever sport it is, have more influence on an athlete than any other coach they'll ever have. Because of the age
they're young.
the kids are growing up and making decisions. So
No doubt.
we're going to take a quick timeout. Before we go, I want to mention today is Gator Giving Day. And the University of Florida is trying to raise as much money. Last year, they made a ton of money. So if you're interested, and I was supposed to wear my Mr. Two Bits tie today, and I forgot it, JC.
Hell.
Bad preparation.
Oh, come on, QB.
But go to the website, givingday.ufl.edu. That's givingday.ufl.edu. We're going to take our second time out. We'll come back. We'll have Brent Beaird talking college football.
College football.
Timeout! Timeout!
Why is it so hot in here?
Timeout! 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 There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gators Dockside, wings, ribs, seafood, and beer. The best restoration, Masters of Disaster.
Bob in trouble, gets rid of it. Oh, big hit.
Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okita America Martial Arts and After School, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, UF Mover Guys, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Wrap Spot, Cold Stone Creamery, Gator Dominoes.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the Advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. John Cornell, Shane Matthews. And Celebration Point is where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Tommy Hilfiger, Hotel Indigo, Nike, Medici's, Regal Cinemas, and coming soon, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators come to celebrate. Kyle is on Facebook Live. Good morning, and it's good to hear from CI, obviously.
Yeah, saw Buddy
Martin. Good old Buddy.
Great Buddy Martin.
I wonder if Buddy's in the process of writing a book right now.
He could write.
He can write a bunch of
writer.
books. We appreciate Buddy tuning in.
Great career. So
he has a great show as well. But right now we're going to go straight to the Titan MRI hotline, and we're joined by college football analyst from First Coast News over in Jax and College Sports Today. Our man Brent Beaird talking college football. Brent, welcome to the program.
Guys, thanks. Great to be with you. Much going on in the world of college football. We're covering hoops too, as you can imagine, but always great to be with you.
Brent, the big news I think going on in college football right now is the whole transfer. You know, different conferences want this, want that. What's going on with the transfer portal?
Well, right now, both the ACC and the Big Ten want basically to give everybody a mulligan, which they can have one free transfer, in other words, without going through the normal waiver procedure. There is a lot of consternation as far as what this may mean, A, and then B, when will it go into effect? The NCAA is, I believe, trying to fast track in order to get this done. Now, there is some things to look at here. I'll mention them briefly. Would be, and I certainly give Hayes a lot of credit for this on Twitter. Matt mentioned the fact of, are they going to keep the annual 25-player cap, and are they going to do the same with the 85 scholarship limit? I still think there's some things in here that they're trying to figure out. In another writer who covers Florida, I thought made a really good point. Thomas Goldcamp brought up the fact of if instead of just grant it to everybody, if you've got a head coach or a on the field position coach that leaves for another job, give that group the ability to transfer without a waiver. And I frankly, signing day, what's he going to do to the graduation rate? There are a whole bunch of questions going on here, but the NCAA could deal with this in April if the conferences are on board and they want to vote on this within the next few months. It could go into effect very possibly as soon as next season.
Brent, the coaching moves that we've seen here with Mel Tucker leaving Colorado and going to Michigan State, getting paid a lot of money. Now there's word, and maybe you can expand on who is in line at Colorado. Could it be somebody from the SEC? Fill us in there. And then what is it about the Colorado job that seems to they just don't seem to keep their coaches that long? Is it the way their pay scale is set in the state of Colorado? I remember when McCartney was coaching there, he was one of the lowest paid, winningest coaches in college football, and I think it had to do with something in the state of university system in Colorado. So maybe you can expand on that. But certainly, what about the Colorado job?
Well, the latest would be that, and this really came out late last night, early this morning, was Steve Sarkisian, the Alabama offensive coordinator, maybe the front runner for the job. Now, they've already had their interim coach, Darren Chiaverini, that is interviewed. You've also got Troy Calhoun of Air Force, who has been mentioned, and Brett Bielema, the former Wisconsin and Arkansas coach, that we thought 2 or 3 days ago he was going to be the front runner with the job. But that's a good question about Arkansas. It's thought to be kind of a lily pad job
Colorado.
Where people go, i.e. Mel Tucker, and coach for a few years, and then they go to a bigger situation. Right. And your point's a good one, and they're limited what they can pay, although they were trying to up the ante to be able to pay Mel Tucker more money. And then you've got another situation, guys, with the Pac-12 that is struggling in so many areas. So it's really just a combination of all the above.
Yeah.
Brent, over in Tuscaloosa, I know a lot of Gator fans are kind of upset, but Charlie Strong has now taken a position as an analyst for Nick Saban. Do you know why he chose Alabama? I have my thoughts on that, but what are yours? Or what have you heard?
I think there's a couple. One is people go to Saban because if they were there, i.e. Butch Jones, former Tennessee coach, they basically go to him to kind of reinvent their career, is what they do. And by working with Saban for a year or two, they're kind of able to reinvent themselves. I know this sounds funny, but I think you'll get it. They get Saban's blessings, is what it amounts to. That and ADs will call Saban and say, "Is he ready to get back and being a head coach?" And if Saban says yes, his word carries a lot of weight within as far as the ADs are concerned. And the other thing for Alabama is they have struggled defensively, to be frank with you, with Pete Golding, and I think this is another guy they can bring in to help mentor him. And if the defense falls off the rails, which I don't think it will, I think it will be much better this coming season in 2020. Strong may be even elevated to a D coordinator or on the field job. As you guys know, the benefit you also get from Charlie Strong, he is He is a mentor for these players. He is a strong father figure for them, and people are elated, frankly, to have him on the staff.
Well, I certainly think Alabama would be better. So we've got Dan Mullen coming your way. What's happening on St. Patrick's Day? Is that his talk about his speaking tour coming up? Isn't that?
Yeah, he will be here on the 17th.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, so that will be exciting to see. Now, we'll get more information as far as where he's going to be, but I know last year when he was here that there was quite a group coming to hear him, and with the excitement that Gator fans have about this coming season, I can see that thing maybe even selling out very soon. So no question, they're looking forward to having him here in Jacksonville next month.
Brent, I know Florida's in the mix now with Tim Brewster, with the 5-star running back Zach Evans. Yeah. Why? I know this kid was released of his scholarship from Georgia.
His commitment.
Why is he not signing with anybody right now? I'm confused.
He's just a different character, frankly, Shane. Now look, it tells you something though if he signs with Georgia and they release him from his commitment to them. I think what I've heard, the kid is an incredibly talented kid, 5'11", almost 200. He's a 5-star running back. Is Zach Evans, but there are just some issues, and I don't know what all of them are. I've heard some of them, and some of it is he kind of has his own entourage that follows him, and coaches are, I think, reluctant to be involved with some of that. But look, everybody knows and everybody thinks that they can take a kid and change him. Florida, I'm sure, is probably no different. But think about it is if you can bring whoever's able to bring him in, and the kid grows up and matures some, they're going to have a heck of a running back. So I understand he's going to be visiting in March, and we'll see where it goes from there. But it seems like every year you've got one player for one reason or another that doesn't sign until late, and this year it's Evans.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about the Georgia Clemson game set up?
Yeah, they're resetting that rivalry. It's a great rivalry.
It does. It will continue it now later on in the decade. And in the next decade, they will play more home and home, but they're really excited about playing the game in Charlotte. If you look on the map for simple geography, Charlotte's not very far at all, is it, guys, from Athens and also from Clemson. It's only 2 hours from Clemson. Clemson really wanted to be able to beef up their schedule next year. They've gotten a lot of complaints about their poor non-conference schedule, except for maybe South Carolina, and then by adding Georgia, that will help them in their strength of schedule. So that's one thing that they really wanted to do. They, I think, obviously want to continue the rivalry. It's been a great rivalry. And guys, the other thing with this is Georgia actually, I believe, had a game. I'm sorry. Georgia had a game in Sanford Stadium against San Jose State. They actually, this just sounds funny, but they did. They bought them out, but paid them about $1.8 million not to play them. So, in the matter of fact, I saw on Twitter a few minutes ago, Southern Cal is doing the same thing next year with a lesser opponent, so they can bring someone else in. So.
The price.
I don't think there's any question about that. And these fans are tired of paying all this money and playing poor teams is what it amounts to. Now, the other amusing thing that's come out of this is this is a neutral site game in Charlotte, and more than a few Gator fans have asked the question, Kirby Smart, is this going to be hurting your recruiting like the Gator game in Jacksonville is, or at least that's what he says. So Gator fans have had a little bit of fun with this too.
Well, isn't there also a game in Atlanta planned as well?
Yes.
Right. So
yes. So So if Georgia's had the number one recruiting class, so I don't think wherever Georgia plays has anything to do with their recruiting.
Brent, before we let you go, LSU, it's been quite a 12 months or 14 or 16 months for Ed Orgeron, now the second highest paid coach in the SEC. Can you expand on whether or not it will be easier or harder for Mr. Ed after what has happened at LSU now that the expectation level has certainly gone up?
Oh, it's going to be much harder.
Yeah.
I mean, when you go from being the hunter to the hunted, it makes a big difference. And then when you lose all the guys that they have lost, it's going to be difficult to replace them. I mean, Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's not that like they don't have talent, which they do, and they've recruited very well. But that's not going to be easy at all. And guys, just a quick tip for your listeners to be looking out for today. The lineup, and this is early, so I remember them doing it, the lineup for SEC Media Days is supposed to be announced this afternoon. Media Days, July 13th through 16th in Atlanta. Remember, it was in Birmingham last year. Atlanta this year. Next year, it's going to be in Nashville.
I'm going next year.
Oh, wow.
I'll be there next year.
Correspondent over there next year.
How exciting is that going to be? Now, the reason this is going to be fun is they've obviously got Lane Kiffin, Mike Leach, Sam Pittman, and it would be very interesting, guys, how they select the lineup of coaches to speak and which days they speak.
No doubt about it, Brent.
doubt.
Great stuff, my man. You can follow Brent on Twitter at Brent Beaird. Brent, we'll talk to you next week. Appreciate you joining the show, Brent.
Look forward to it, guys.
All right,
Thank
partner.
you.
Take care.
Yeah, and what I guess, QB, what I was referring to, whether it be easier or harder, obviously it's going to be harder without those players, and I knew that. But what I meant was that for the first time in his career, Ed Orgeron is going to be one of the highest paid coaches, and he's going to have to deal with coaching at a level.
Well, he doesn't coach. He just delegates stuff.
Okay.
But don't forget, folks,
getting paid a
and
hell
I
of
am
a lot of
so
money.
mad I forgot to wear my Mr. Two-Bit sticker tie today because with the holiday on Monday, I felt like today is still Wednesday.
That's
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so anyway, UF Stand Up and Holler Giving Day, which is right there. You can go to givingday.ufl.edu. It doesn't have to be a lot, $5, $10, doesn't really matter. I can't remember how much they raised last year because it has something to do with helping us stay within that top 10. I think we're number 7 in the country right now. It's about how much money alumni give back to the university, and they're hoping to break into the top 5 as a public institution.
Well, there's a lot of spend going on over there to get these
and I think you can
facilities up.
delegate where you want it. Where you want to go to the College of Business,
Sure.
journalism school.
Right.
If you want it to go, I guess, to the athletic department, delegate it however
It's
you
on
want.
there. Just givingday.ufl.edu.
I could have brought you one of those sticker ties too, JC.
What are you you man?
Well,
You
I
gotta
thought
think
today was
about this
Wednesday.
stuff.
I'm very confused.
Well, it's nice that it's Thursday. We've got another day ahead tomorrow. What do we got?
We got James Bates.
Oh, Batesy.
Coming to us live.
Luther Ogle.
I wonder if he's going to be at the pool at Auburn when we talk to him. It'll be 7:30 his time.
Well, I'm sure he's high energy. He'll be up early.
I bet Bates is going to come back after this SEC swim meet, and he's going to do some piece on Toomer's Corner, some drawing or painting.
Yeah, he'll have the trees.
Or maybe he'll even roll it while he's there.
It's got to be the trees. How about this? We got invites to go to Conestoga's in beautiful downtown Alachua from William, from Big Bill.
Pizza Bill.
And Trey joining us on Facebook Live, just finding the show. We are finding that a lot of people are finding us, QB, and it is exciting, and we love the sponsorships that we have to help us support this. Thank you, Trey, for coming on board. And we're here every day, Monday through Friday, Facebook Live, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. It's all there for you, 24/7. You can watch us. And I'm just loving that we are picking up the momentum here.
And we want to thank Cornelius Ingram and Brent Beaird for joining the program. Tomorrow, James Bates joins us live from Auburn, Alabama. Today's show is a wrap brought to you by WrapSpot. A vehicle wrap from WrapSpot will give your business years of brand recognition and increased sales. Call WrapSpot today.
See you tomorrow.